All right, looks like we're live. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to another monologue of the Cārvāka podcast. Before I start with my thoughts, I'll just give you a brief idea about why I decided to speak a little late on this subject. I was just waiting for the dust to settle down, as usual. In this case, as of now, actually, the dust has not completely settled down. There's, at least as far as the mainstream media is concerned, they're still, giving their best shot when it comes to, as they say, trying to heat things up when it comes to CAB, CAA, NRC, whatever you want to call it. So, last week, actually, Shyam Sharma and I were supposed to do a podcast on the same subject on his channel. So, unfortunately, I was not available and I actually kind of backed out last moment because I had to go out for some personal work. So, sorry about that. So, let's get on with it. So, I'm going to give my thoughts in two segments. So, I'm going to first talk about CAB, CAA, say what it is about as of now, what we know about it, and do I think it's perfect? Do I think it is not? And what can be done about it? And then obviously we'll talk about NRC and my thoughts on NRC, my perspective on NRC. So let's start with the CAB. The CAB is the Citizenship Amendment Bill. As you know, BJP has pushed an amendment that basically persecuted minorities from three specific countries, which is Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Those of particular religions, of a certain set of religions, who have come to India under the claim that they have been persecuted, and there is a cutoff date up to 2014, specific date up to 2014. Those people who have applied for refuge in India would be given a fast track system where their basic citizenship application or the paper movement, whatever you want to call it, is going to be fast tracked for in a period of 6 years in comparison to the usual time frame, which is 11 years in India. So that's what the CAB is. Obviously, it becomes CAA after the assent of the President of India. So it's now called the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, the logic behind it was that non-Muslims, specifically Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, Parsis, Jains, Buddhists, in those countries, basically have been persecuted because those three nations that we're talking about specifically are Islamic nations, and those Islamic nations have had a record of persecuting these minorities, so they definitely deserve refuge. Now, what do I think about the CAA per se? I mean, as far as I am concerned, I think it's a great idea. India has a moral, civilizational, and ethical responsibility of taking care, of the persecuted minorities, especially in those three countries, and especially Bangladesh and Pakistan, considering that we basically were one set of people at one point of time, and the partition happened and we were separated. So I think that was the right thing to do. But do I have certain problems with the CAA and CAB? I actually do. To begin with, my problem with the CAB and CA, and I have been stating this for a long time, that I think atheists should have been mentioned categorically as a classification or a category of people who are persecuted in that bill. I think we could have made space for that. I think they are, one of the set of people who are under the pump all the time. I mean, you look at Bangladeshi bloggers, they've been hacked to death. There's a huge list. There are atheist activists in Pakistan who are always under threat, because of blasphemy laws and whatever that goes on in those countries. So I think that is one criticism that I had of the Citizenship Amendment Bill or the Citizenship Amendment Act, whatever you want to call it. That is one thing. Now, the second part was, let us look at the criticisms that have been laid at the Citizenship Amendment Bill and the Citizenship Amendment Act by people. So there is a lot of misinformation that is going on around. I mean, it's actually unbelievable. I just think it is outright lies, and you can't be that dumb that you don't know. I mean, to present it that it is an anti-Muslim move is ridiculous. I mean, the CAB and the CAA is dealing with atrocity committed by Muslims. How can it be anti-Muslim? It is dealing with a very specific problem that is happening in that country, which is atrocities committed by Muslim majority countries. So I don't know what that part was about. The second part was about, there is a certain section in the left that has been saying, but why just have a citizenship amendment bill dealing with only these three countries? Why can't India have a proper refugee policy, because as of now our refugee policy is actually very hodgepodge. It's all over the place. It's not organized. We don't have a standard line when it comes to a refugee policy. So that could be a fair point, that India should eventually have a refugee policy. But just because we don't have A does not mean we don't deal with XYZ. So to say, oh, why do it just for them? You could have done it for all. Well, this is the first step. We have actually formulated a refugee policy for non-Muslims from that. Yes, that refugee policy is not perfect. That I am willing to concede, because there is no logical reason that atheists should have been excluded in this list. Atheists should have been included in this list. Now, that, in my view, it's a starting point, and it's not like the end of the world. It's not cast in stone that it cannot be changed at all. We can always make changes in the future as we go ahead. We can make changes. We can make amendments to acts and bills, and we can always bring in new bills to propose an addendum to to the bill. Maybe we'll add another category of atheists. Now let us look into the another set of criticism of the CAB and the CAA, which was that why aren't Ahmadis? They say Ahmadiyas, for example, are not included in this list. So let us deal with that question. Now, in an ideal world, I can hear an argument for Ahmadis being included in that list, but this bill does not deal with the idea of persecuted people. This bill is very clear. It deals with the idea of persecuted non-Muslim people. Ahmadis are not Muslim, as per Indian law, Ahmadis are treated as Muslims. Pakistan doesn't consider them Muslim. That is Pakistan's problem. But the idea of a Muslim in India is not discriminatory. You could be Ahmadi, you could be Shia, you could be whatever, Ismaili, etc., 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 etc. All the categories. India's definition of what a Muslim is legally, constitutionally, and I won't say culturally, because there is a lot of anti-Ahmadi bigotry, especially down south in Hyderabad. I've seen a lot of weird stuff being peddled by the Owaisi brothers. But having said that, India's standard line can't be that Ahmadis are not Muslims. It just can't be that line. Ahmadis are Muslims, so they obviously miss out in this bill. Does that mean that Ahmadis don't have a real case? No, I don't mean to say that. But the Ahmadis can apply like the Taslim Nasreen has applied, or anybody else has applied. There is still the other way. So it's not like Ahmadis can't come. Another valid criticism which I thought was there was, what about the Baloch? I think just from purely strategic and geopolitical reasons, the Baloch activists who are fighting for the independence of Balochistan should be given a natural home in India. But again, you don't need to include them in the Citizenship Amendment Bill and the Citizenship Amendment Act. The government of India does not have an open refugee policy. If you don't have an open refugee policy, did it need a policy to decide we are going to let the Taslima Nasreen stay in India? We do not need the policy. So if we want to get Baloch leaders or famous names from Balochistan who are living in Western nations, we want to give them home in India, we could do it right now too. It's not like a big deal or anything. So this criticism of Ahmadiyas and Balochis, coming here is flawed too. I think the bill by itself deals with a very specific historical civilizational problem of India. That's what it deals with. Let us fix that. This is, in my view, the Citizenship Amendment Act or the Citizenship Amendment Bill, whatever you want to call it, is just the first nascent step of India actually taking baby steps in correcting its civilizational wrongs. This is the first step. This is not the last step. I'm sure in the future, India will have to come up with a policy where India will have to deal with this idea. Look, a lot of people might find this bigoted. I don't. Look, if you're a Muslim, you still have a lot of homes. If you're a Christian, you still have a lot of homes. Tell me one home for a Hindu. Hindu does not have a home. Tomorrow, let's say for some, weird reason, crazy reason, X number of people in a country where Hindus are based, they decide we are going to eliminate Hindus. It happened in Idi Amin's time, right? Where are these Hindus going to go? They just have one option. India is the only natural homeland for Hindu, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis. Not Parsis, but especially, right now, even for Parsis, but for Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Sikhs, this is their homeland. For Buddhists, you can say, yeah, there are other Southeast Asian countries, so they can go there too. But of our ethnicity, of a certain stock, this is the only homeland they have. We have to have a policy where we keep an open door for these people. And to say that, oh, you're bigoted, a secular state can't, do that, bullshit. Secular states don't exist in, civilizational vacuums. Secular state does not mean that we wipe clean our historical realities. Secular state does not mean that we forget that 1947, the partition of this country, happened purely on religious lines. It was a religious partition, whether we like it or not. And to say, oh, you need to get over your history, you need to forget this, you need to forget that. Well, I'm not going to forget it, because a lot of people lost their lives. Millions of people lost their lives and livelihoods. It was a traumatic experience, not just for Indians, even for Pakistanis. It was a traumatic experience. And to say, oh, no, secular states don't know that, bullshit. Secular states have to act in historical realities. India is a secular state constitutionally. Civilizationally, India has to be a dharmic state. India has to be the natural home of all dharmic faiths. All 4 faiths that have originated in India, India has to give them priority. There is nothing bigoted in that. This is the literal homeland, especially in the case of Jains, Sikhs, and Hindus. This is the only homeland they have. Literal only homeland. So I don't get it. Now, whether we should have a full-fledged refugee policy in the future, yes, we should. In the future, we should have a proper refugee policy. And to say, oh, this is bigotry, that is bigotry. Well, let me give you an idea. I mean, I am well versed with 2 countries' immigration systems. This charge about discrimination. Name one country in this world that does not have a discriminatory immigration policy. I'll give you an example. So Canada, I think, not when I used to live there, but definitely after that, Canada had come up with a proper point system when it comes to migrating to Canada. So what are those points based on? So let's say you have a master's degree, you get extra points. Let's say you're married, you get extra points. Let's say even you have certain other, courses and those things, you get extra points. So is somebody going to come and say, oh, Canadian immigration policy is against illiterate people. It is anti-illiterate people. It is anti-X. It is anti-Y. So is your logic that when illiterate person and literate person both apply for Canadian citizenship or Canadian immigration, they should treat them equally, right? By your logic. It's bullshit. It is total and utter bullshit. Countries have a right to select whom they let in and whom they let out. I'm not saying to have a Muslim ban. I will not support that. Let's say there are genuine Muslims who are persecuted in India, outside India, in the neighborhood, who are sensible people and they want to find a home in India, they should. And by the way, the record states it clearly. Around 600 Muslims from these very 3 countries in the last 5 years have been given Indian citizenship by the government of India. So if Modi was such an anti-Muslim hater, why would he do that? He could have easily delayed there. I mean, India, if the Babus want to delay things, they can delay things. So now I think I've said enough on CAA, CAB. Maybe I'll look at your comments later on and answer a few questions out of that. Once again, I'll be giving preference to the super chats first. So if you have any super chats, you can go ahead and ask them right now, and I will answer them one by one. Now, let us look at NRC. So what is the NRC? Basically, I'm not going to give you the whole history of NRC. The best place to understand NRC is, again, my podcast. Obviously, I'm pimping my own video. So go and check out my discussion with Kanchan Gupta. He has given the historical detail of what the NRC is, what the Assam Accord was, how did the movement start, why did it start, what were the problems related to it, etc., etc., etc. So you guys can go and do, it's a 1-hour podcast. I think you should listen to it. Then you'll get a detailed understanding of both CAB and NRC from multiple perspectives. Kanchanda has done a fantastic job, as far as explaining both are concerned. Now, as of now, what is the opposition to NRC? So they are like, what NRC has been proposed in Assam is a mess. I mean, you have the case of Lieutenant Sanaullah, who's actually right now in a detention center because he doesn't have proper paperwork. Now, in my opinion, this is my point. So let us look at the criticisms of NRC from the point of view of what has been criticized as of now. They say the NRC by itself is not a problem. and the CAB by itself is not a problem, but the CAB plus NRC clubbed together is a problem. Now that's a bullshit argument, because if the CAB is like a one-shot deal of anybody up to 2014, so the moment their paperwork is done, the CAB lapses. So if you're a non-Muslim who has come after 2014, the CAB doesn't work for you, which I think is a problem. It should work for you permanently for all those people, but whatever, BJP has taken a decision, and I kind of get it. Otherwise, what if tomorrow crores of Hindus from these countries come in? It's not like we are a rich country. We can't handle that. So let us get real. While we have a civilizational responsibility, it's not like, 5 crore Hindu, 6 crore Hindu, aa jao ji, sare ke sare hamare India mein reh lo. We can't handle that kind of a pressure. So I get that. This has to be an exercise where, people will come in, some people will be naturalized, then the next lot will come in, then they'll be naturalized. It will be done like that. But the criticism is that, let's say 2 people are picked up, a Hindu and a Muslim, both have improper documentation. By the way, all of this is conjecture, because there is no actual proper answer to what the damn NRC Pan India is going to be. The only thing we have is those tweets by PIB and ANI, where the list of documentation even showed Aadhaar. So if Aadhaar is required, 99.5% of India has Aadhaar. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but let's assume this hypothetical scenario now. They say a Muslim and a Hindu come together. A Hindu does not have a documentation but gets the citizenship because of CAB. Utter lie. A Hindu also does not get it, because even under the CAB, you have to show some documentation. It's not like you land in India, main Pakistani Hindu, mujhe andar lo. No, the government is not going to let you in like that. The government will make you prove you are a Pakistani Hindu. How? Prove that. Maybe you have some documentation from Pakistan that states that you have to show something. It's not like then anybody will walk into India and say, oh, I'm Hindu in Pakistan, I'm Hindu in Bangladesh, I'm Sikh in Afghanistan. It doesn't work like that. Even to be eligible under CAB, you will have to show some paperwork. So this whole argument about no paperwork, you prefer the Hindus. But how do we prove that he is a Hindu if he has no paperwork? So people with no paperwork, no matter what, they are Hindu, Muslim, Pastafarian, they're effed up. They are in a mess up. So they don't get any way out, whether they are Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Icici, whatever. They are in a clusterfuck as far as I'm concerned. This is for people. NRC is what? NRC is like a national citizenship register, national register of citizens. Now, this should have been done when we were, 30-year-old country, 40-year-old country. Well, now, after 72 damn years, we have decided to do this. Now, this is my opinion. I don't like the NRC, not because it is a communal exercise or a bigoted exercise. I don't see anything communal or bigoted in NRC. This whole argument about CAB and NRC together in a combination is, bigoted, is just bullshit. The CAB is a one-time deal. The deal is over. So CAB goes out of the picture. Now you have to look at the NRC as a single unit. It is a single entity. So people will produce documents, and God knows what documents are there, because according to the press, the PIB and ANI, everybody is a citizen. Even illegal citizens will be declared Indian citizens now. Because if Aadhaar is the requirement, we all know Aadhaar is given just willy-nilly in India for 500, 600 rupees. We have heard so many cases of fake Aadhaar cards being generated for Bangladeshis. So I don't know what the government is planning to do. But here is my criticism of the NRC. India is a limited state capacity entity. The Indian state has very limited capacity to deliver any project or any kind of goods. To take this kind of a gigantic exercise, in my humble opinion, is a gigantic waste of money. I don't see any value out of NRC. If you want to nab illegal immigrants, you could have, it's not like this. Before this, India has not nabbed in illegal immigrants. India has nabbed illegal immigrants. But what has India done? Some of them may have gone by. Some of them have been sent back. And let us assume, we say there are 4 crore or whatever. Somebody says 1 crore, somebody says 4 crore, somebody says 6 lakhs, somebody says 60 lakhs. Let us assume there are 2 crore Bangladeshis staying illegally in India. India identifies them. You think Bangladesh is going to take them back? You seriously, in your right mind, think Bangladesh will be like, Hanji, page deo. Nobody is going to take them back. They are in India. At most, what we can do is identify these people. If they have voting rights in India, strip them of their voting rights. These people have no right to participate in Indian democracy. Stay here, work here. You cannot participate in Indian democracy. Maybe some of them could be sent back to Bangladesh. I mean, the Bangladesh government has been on record stating that we'll take them back if you can. I mean, and if will be, oh, this paperwork is not enough, this paperwork is fake, that paperwork is fake. I mean, have we forgotten that Ajmal Kasab, Pakistan never admitted that he was a Pakistani? We showed all the documents, all the video footage, everything. Did Pakistan accept Ajmal Kasab, the damn terrorist, was Pakistani? So how is Bangladesh going to accept this? So I don't know. But for me, the reason NRC can be avoided is it's just a waste of money. It's going to be a disaster. Why it will be a disaster is because we are a hopeless country. We don't do anything properly. How the hell do we think that from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we're going to go knock door to door, collect documents and do this shit? It's going to be like a 2-decade thing to get it done. Karna hai, kar lo. I mean, the government will waste 50,000 crores of our taxpayer money in another exercise, in my opinion. So I think CAB should have been declared not just till 2014, but an open policy of the government of India. The Indian state now is the official home of all non-Muslim, oppressed, persecuted people in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. NRC could have been done away with. I think NRC is useless. The only benefit is political, and I think that's the reason BJP is just going gung-ho on it, because it's a political thing. They want to gain political mileage out of it, and you can disagree with me and you can criticize me for my views. It's okay. It's an open country. Yeah, everybody has a right to criticize me for my views. I think NRC can be avoided. We can we much rather invest far more money in our border patrols and our border controls and stuff like that than wasting our money on this silly exercise of NRC. But if the government does it, am I going to lose my sleep over it? No. But I really don't like this exercise. I think it's an utter waste of time. It is an utter waste of resources. We should have a far more robust citizenship refugee policy for non-Muslims in these countries. In fact, they should be openly told that, boss, if you are persecuted, this is your natural home. All this bullshit of 2014 cutoff should be done away with. Come here, we will let you in. Obviously, you can't come in crores. No, come in, trickle down. Slowly but surely, we will take all of you in. That should have been our policy. Now, somebody might say, what about Rohingyas? No, we are not obliged to take Rohingyas in. India can pick and choose. And like I said, this has to be the bloody home for dharmic people. What the hell is wrong with you? Rohingyas can go to multiple Muslim nations. Where is a persecuted Hindu in Pakistan going to go? Where do you think they're going to go? Don't you have any sense of sensitivity towards those people? I mean, कुछ तो शर्म करो. कहाँ जाएंगे ये लोग? मरे पड़े हैं उधर. There is a famous incident कि सारे हिंदू क्यों नहीं मार दिए, तो पाकिस्तान के किसी बंदे ने बोला था, अरे बाथरूम साफ करने के लिए भी कोई तो चाहिए. ये तो उनका दर्जा है उधर. और it is a shocker to me that everybody says Dalit groups are opposing this. I mean, are you smoking pot or something, or what are you smoking? I mean, I think weed smokers are not stupid, but this is to pagalpan. The majority population, Hindu population of Pakistan are Dalits. And you want those Dalits to suffer because of your petty politics in India? I mean, it's ridiculous. And now I want to, because it's already 24 minutes, so I just want to talk a bit about the way the protests have gone on across the country. And let us be very clear. These protests across India were not about NRC. This gundagardi that was unleashed in India by a certain section of Muslim society, and equally encouraged by a section of mainstream media, left-wing mainstream media, and the hijacking of students across the country was actually very sad. But then, when you're young, you're stupid. So that's my opinion. And even if you're pro-BJP, that's my opinion. It doesn't matter. So the way this has carried on, this is about a culmination. Pehle triple talaq hua, then it was followed up by 370 and Ayodhya, and now this was a way to vent a lot of anger. I don't think so it was anything to do with CAB NRC. It was just a classical case of hooliganism. And this is the tragedy with India. India is a country we're not even middle income as of now. So the tragedy with India is that we have too many people with too little to lose, and we have very few people with a lot to lose. So the reason is, every time shit hits the roof in India, metaphorically, literally, people get on the streets, break public property. And this is a clear message from a certain section of the Muslim Samaj that, boss, we can bully you. And the state should crush them. And before somebody says that, oh, why only Muslims? No, I don't care. By the way, when Ram Rahim protesters were down on the streets, the state crushed them. I supported that too. Any group, I don't care what your religion is. Tomorrow, if atheists do this, crush them. You don't break public property. You don't burn buses. You don't pelt stones. You don't break into people's houses. You don't do this. This shit is not okay. You live in a democracy. If you can't behave in a civilized way, the police is going to hit back. And good, the UP government is confiscating these people's properties. And before somebody says that this is bigoted, well, that damn Supreme Court is bigoted, because it was the order of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said it is perfectly fine that if a set of people break public property, they better pay for it. And good on the Yogi government, they're doing the right thing. So in my view, this is, and you know what? The only reason now the government has to go ahead with the NRC, although I think it should dilute it down and make it a joke or something of that sort, because I think it's a gigantic mess up. One more point before I forget. I think tribal Hindus will suffer a lot under NRC because, their paperwork is very jittery. So, all Hindus need to be very open-minded. Everything is not a culture war. The NRC is a clusterfuck. Now, why the NRC has to be done, albeit a diluted one, is that if you don't do it, then you basically give a veto to Muslim stone pelting in India. And then tomorrow, some law comes, then another group, let's say ABC group, starts stone pelting in India. What the government is going to give in to stone pelters now? The government's job is to communicate that this is not sectarian, this is not bigoted. And beyond the point, if you pelt stones, we're going to hit you back, put you in jail. So the government has to go ahead with the NRC simply because of this reason, that enough is enough. The Indian state is not a joke. The Indian state cannot be taken lightly. Indian democracy cannot be taken lightly. And just because a bunch of people decided, we'll get on the streets and pelt stones, and now the government has to back off, is a load of rubbish. I'm a critic of the NRC, but even I will say in that sense that whatever, just get a Fudu NRC or something of that sort, but get it now. Because you cannot give in to these bloody stone pelters. Not on. The state should fix this and send a message across to all these people. You better behave yourself. And if you don't behave yourself, we will fix you. That's the message the state needs to give to all these people. I don't care what their emotions are hurt or their sentiments are hurt. To hell with you and your sentiments. This is not how you behave in a democracy. If you don't know how to behave in a democracy, then get the hell out of this country. This is a civilized country of civilized people. Go to jail. Sado udhar. I don't care. And once again, I don't care what your religion is. You throw stones, you burn buses, you deserve jail. You stay in a jail, bloody. That's all you deserve. And I don't care what your religion is. Anybody who does it, throw them to jail, get the NRC, get a CAB that is not only till the 2014 cutoff date, it is a ticket for every bloody persecuted non-Muslim in those three countries for life. We have that responsibility, especially towards non-Muslims in those countries. And if somebody doesn't like it and they think this is fascist, well, you're an idiot. Now, I'm going to look at your questions. Once again, if there are super chats, I'll prefer that. Otherwise, I'm just going to randomly look at your questions, answer them, and then we'll wrap things up. All right, I'm going to go from the top. Okay, Kshitij, your question about the Ahmadiyas, I think I've answered in the beginning itself. There are always going to be somebody who's being persecuted in these shitholes. Example, Ahmadiyas fronted for Pak, Baloches went on a rampage during the why save them? I've given my answer, so I don't need to cover the Ahmadiyya and the Baloch question. This is a good question. Let us address that. But what about Sri Lankan Hindus? Look, that's a good question. That is the next step. I think eventually India has to declare its civilizational nature too. Although it cannot do it in some legal way, but India has to declare its civilizational nature. And I think India has to become Israel light in some way. That's the next step. I think if we push for that now, I think the country will burn. So we have to go small steps at a time. I think India needs to become middle income. This is the first step. Like I said, the CAB cutoff 2014 is a first step. I think we need to wait. We don't want too much shit to be happening right now. Okay, what do you think about Muslims who use India as a middle country to take refuge before they get citizenship from a Western country like India gave Taslima Nasrim's? I think there's nothing wrong in it, Shri. In my view, this is a perfectly legitimate way. Yeah, if you're living in Bangladesh, you're an atheist. Where the hell are you going to go? This is your natural home. And just look, calculate the amount of days Taslima Nasreen stays in India and stays in Sweden. Most of the time, she's staying in India. So I don't agree with many things Taslima Nasreen says, but I will fight for a right to stay in India. She has a right to stay in India. This is her natural home. She's a Bengali, just across the border. We are one people, whether we like it or not. We are one people. She has far more things in common with us than those Swedish people. So I think it's okay. Okay, I lost many friends the past weeks. My childhood friends now labeled me bigots, racist, but when asked about the contents of the bill, they had no answer. I never knew the left had so much. It's okay. Your friends, if they can't agree with you over this, they're not your friends. It's okay, man. You will mend things. Okay. I find it shocking that someone like Vishal Dadlani can be against the CAA. He says that the country cannot bear the expense. Last time I checked, he's a Sindhi. Yeah, but he's dumb too now. That's the problem. By the way, he's the guy I filed that famous case against. Bichara, he hates me. He's blocked me on Twitter. This is the Israelification of India, and it doesn't rub me the right way. We are emulating apartheid state with bombs. Kids for is it for real? Okay, whatever. Yeah, I think for Parsis too. I agree, Nian. It is the natural home for Parsis too, because your natural home was Islamophile. So yeah, so I will add Dharmic and Parsi fight natural home. Okay, let's see what else. Kushal, Canada follows a point-based system. I got into Germany because of STEM master's education. UK broke from UU to follow a point-based system. Australia discriminates. US champ of discrimination. Actually, यार इन सबसे कम US करता है. क्योंकि US में अभी तक point-based system नहीं है. उनके उधर वो US still has that weird kind of a quota system. Actually, the most discriminating are these leftist dreamlands. Actually, Europe, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they discriminate the most. And yeah, I want to address this. They'll say, oh, but it is not meant for refugees. Even with the refugees, they pick and choose the refugees to get in. Let's get very clear. They are, America and Canada are lucky. They are not attached to a land border to a disturbed state. The only poor country they're attached to, Mexico, and see how many illegal Mexicans enter their country. And it's not like there is no population in those countries that is opposed to illegal immigration from Mexico. So get real. This is a very good point. People are getting it wrong. CAA is not for inviting people to India. It is for those illegal immigrants whom we feel. They're not illegal immigrants. They are basically people who came legally in India on a tourist visa, overstayed their stay, and they're staying in India legally. They get an extension every time. They're not illegal. CAA is given to those people who are staying illegally in India. They get their passports, Pakistani passports, stamped every time. Please do not spread this information. They're not hiding. They're legally in India. They just want the full benefits of an Indian citizen. Now, that's what it is about. I totally agree with this. These are my sentiments. NRC is a shit show because our country is useless at organizing and documenting anything. And anybody who thinks NRC is going to be a great, wonderful thing, you know what? You guys are crazy. Seriously, what a bad idea, actually. if we don't implement NRC, we are encouraging people to illegally immigrate with impunity. Do you think that's fair? No, man. If we did not have a NRC, it doesn't mean we can't send illegal immigrants back. We can still send them back. Have we never sent any illegal immigrants back before this to Bangladesh or Pakistan or whatever? Come on, man. Get real. I've already addressed this, Kaustubh. Yeah, good question. I want to take this on. It's an irony that everyone realizes the culture of Assam is to be safeguarded by the nation, but not the dharmic values and culture. Who can answer to this? Not only that, I think, imagine karo. So UPites come into Maharashtra and Raj Thakre's goons beat them up, and we call that what? Sectarian, bigoted, fascist. I get that Assamese culture needs to be protected, but I can't support this demand of the Assamese people that we don't want one person to, not even one single Bangladeshi, even Hindus, by the way. They refuse to take even the Hindus. I just don't agree with that. Yes, we need to protect Assamese identity, Assamese language, Assamese culture. But at the same time, to say that even one person is not allowed, come on, give me a break. Do you support privatization by Modi? Will you still call him a socialist? Let's see. I think he's still more left-leaning than capitalist. That's my take. Okay. Kushal, did you read about the CPIM government in Kerala is building detention camps? Oh yeah, everybody. Oh, by the way, the detention camps are being built not because of any bill passed by the government. The courts ordered detention camps. So if you want to call anybody a bigoted person, it is the bloody courts in India. They're the ones who are telling everybody to build these detention camps. Wait, let's see. Where did I miss? Did you watch the episode of CAA NRC on Amit Verma's podcast with Srinath Raghavan? No, I'm not. I'm sorry. You promised to read the Constitution of Kailasa on Sham Sharma show. When are you going to do that? I promise you I'm going to do that. I've read it. It is amazing. Am I happy with Modi ji? Yeah, it's okay. He's far better than the others. Mubin, how are you doing, my man? Hi, Kushal. What's your opinion about videos of police breaking public property? Very bad. The police should be charged too. I'm not an apologist for the police force, but I ain't an apologist for violent Muslims either. The police goes wrong, fix them. People go wrong, fix them. I don't care. Okay, can I address this? Taslima Nasreem can live in India, but I do think it's sad that no one values our citizenship if they can get passport from another. Oh यार कौन value करेगा तुम्हारा passport? नेपाल जाने को मिलता है उसके ऊपर सिर्फ. Come on, get real. यार. I know it hurts you, but come on, get real. Most people in this live chat, if they get the option of getting, or the people who are going to watch this video later on, if they get the option of an American passport and an Indian passport, they'll jump to an American passport, most of them. So please, get real. Very good point by Ninad. In a country as large as heterogeneous as ours, avoiding the type 2 error is impossible, especially with our bureaucracy. Thus, I am against NRC. What do you think? I am against NRC too. I told you, I don't like it. Kushal bhai, do you think that anti-CAA protests are contributing to something worse? Nah, it's okay. It's just, India वेलों का देश है यार. आज प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, कल प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, फिर कोई दिन प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे. वेले हैं हम लोग यार. हमारे यहाँ टाइम पास है ये सब. Okay, NRC is a wrong decision, you say. Then what else should you be introduced as a measure to decide who is an Indian, who is not? Are you telling me before this moment we have not identified one person? NRC के बिना हम, आइडेंटिफाई ही नहीं कर सकते. आई थिंक देयर आर मल्टीपल टेक्नोलॉजिकल. आई थॉट व्हेन आधार had come it would do that. आधार ने नहीं किया. जो इलीगल्स है उनको आधार भी मिल गया. अब हम नया लाएंगे. What is the guarantee that the bureaucrats will not take 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees and add their names also to the NRC register? Can you give me that guarantee? Come on, yaar. Get real. We are just wasting money. All the contractors are going to make shitloads of money in this. All kuch nahi hoga. Is India the natural homeland for Christians as well? Christians born and raised in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, yes. India is the natural homeland for them. Other Christians, no. I think the bill should have included atheists and agnostics as well. They are also persecuted minorities in these three nations. Absolutely. And again, I'm very clear. Atheists and agnostics of dharmic cultures are Hindu. They are anyways, in the group. I mean, imagine a person like me who would have been there. I'm a Hindu. It should be let in. I'm just a Hindu of a different type. What is your opinion on mass immigration in Europe from the Middle East? Bad idea. Best of luck, Europe. Kushal Bhai, there is a growing sense of regret in the Germans about the open door policy towards Muslims. Sweden is a crap hole. UK is rewarded with Rotterdam and many more. Still, Indians want more. Again, no country can tolerate the intolerable beyond a point. So, it's their decision. I don't want to come talk about that. I think the tragedy with this whole thing is that if you actually have a proper points-based system, immigration system that actually is points-based, which a lot of Western countries do, I think you let in the best of the lot of all countries. So India should actually now look at developing a points-based system. Look, don't you think Adnan Sami is an amazing addition to Indian diaspora? He came in the right way. Don't you think Adnan Sami deserves to be an Indian citizen? He's a Muslim, so what? Who cares? He's an amazing guy, contributes to the economy, pays so much tax in India. He's an amazing immigrant. Don't you think we as a country should have a proper immigration policy, irrespective of that? I think we should. I would like India to have a points-based system too, eventually. I still think NRC and CAA have secondary objectives. I mean, I don't know. You have to explain that, Vaibhav Tiwari. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's take a super chat. Thank you, Malhar. So Malhar says, do you think we need an ICE-like organization? ICE, you mean the American Immigration Control, right? यार वो BSF तो है ना हमारी बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स. वो क्या करती है? 500 रुपए लेके अंदर दे देती है बांग्लादेशियों को. तो क्या करोगे? हमारा देश गरीब है. हमारी प्रॉब्लम ही है, ट्रेजेडी है. वो है हमारी ट्रेजेडी. Without NRC, can India have a refugee law? India should have a refugee policy. India is not having it as a good criticism of the BJP, but that's lost in the entire cacophony here. What do you think of General Rawat's statements on anti-CAA protests? I think the armed forces should avoid it. यार इसमें तो नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए armed forces को. What are your expectations from UCC? Have one law when it comes to civil matters for the entire country. It doesn't mean rituals should be affected. Rituals can go on, whatever, man. That's your private thing. Any ritual that violates your fundamental human rights, that can't be. Like a ritual which says, I have to chop your hand off. That ritual can't be allowed. So I'm just clarifying. Other than that, what is a uniform civil code? It's basically any misogyny in any civil laws, which in case of Sharia is like a ऊपर से लेकर नीचे तक misogyny personified. So that's the reason we need to do that. NRC is a wrong decision. Then what else do you think should be introduced as a measure to decide who is an Indian, who is not? I thought we must have decided by now, is my whole point. इतने तो document है India में यार. तुम एक imagine करो. I mean, I don't know how many of you have lived outside India. So when I used to live in America, यार क्रेडिट कार्ड होते थे, या एक सोशल सिक्योरिटी नंबर होता था, या इक्का दुक्का हेल्थ कार्ड होता था कनाडा में। यूहिप, मेरा यूनिवर्सिटी का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस होता था, ओहिप ऑन्टेरियो का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस होता था। मैं तो सिटीजन नहीं था, तो मेरा ओहिप नहीं था, मेरा यूहिप था। 3-4 कार्ड होते थे, बाकी तो क्रेडिट कार्ड होता था। इंडिया में पता नहीं आधार कार्ड ने, पैन कार्ड ने, ये कार्ड ने, वो कार्ड, पता नहीं सारे दुनिया के माई कितने तो कार्ड है हमारे देश में। पागलों वाला देश है। Don't you think Christianity is a bigger threat to Northeast culture than Bengali Hindus? I have not studied that area much, so I will leave that question. I'm open to be educated on that. Thanks for the super chat, Mr. Experts. All right. When am I getting Sanjeev Sanyal? Next year, hopefully next month. Is BJP in decline? What will happen in Delhi and Bengal election? Bengal, I think, will be tough, but BJP might push through. Delhi harenge, in my view. Kiki, thanks for the super chat. Best thing about CAA business was that the majority community didn't play along with the anti-CAA narrative. Boss, I'm telling you, BJP is going to benefit from this violence unleashed on the streets. I'm telling you. My non-political friends who never discuss politics are so pissed off by the breaking of public property by Muslims across India. You have no idea. Kushal, I agree the atheist should be included in CAA, but then how can Indian state recognize someone as an atheist? I mean, what is the benchmark signature of an atheist? He'll be criticizing religion all the time on his Facebook and Twitter. Okay. Good question. What do you think about the space for centrists or true liberals in our political discourse, which in my opinion has been vanishing in the duel between left and right? I don't know, man. It's just, I think both. I think it's the space for centrism is there. Otherwise, why would my podcast be relevant? I think I disagree partially. Look, what happens on internet is a medium based on hacking your negativity bias. So when on mediums where your negativity bias is going to be hacked, only the lowest common denominator argument on both sides is going to be highlighted. So, you will have portals on the non-left highlighting the LCD on the left, and the portals on the left highlighting the LCD on the non-left. That's how the internet works. I don't think so we should be disturbed about that. I think there is enough space for centrism in India. Most of us are reasonable people here. Most of you on the live chat are also reasonable people. And this is my experience. If reasonable shit, okay, yeah, I agree my podcast doesn't grow very fast. But now I have a dedicated set of listeners who constantly message me on various portals and say, we like how you maintain your balance. We are also rising. Eventually, we will win. Don't you think we should have a document that is a proof of citizenship? But yeah, I thought passport was a proof of citizenship. ऐसी passport दे देते हो किसी को? Okay. I'm sorry, the chat went caboose. Did Adnan Sami inspire you to lose weight, Kushal bhai? No. Actually, I got inspired because so I'll tell you the story. I used to play badminton when I was very fat too, because I love playing sport. And one day, when I lunged forward to take a drop, I tore my right thigh groin muscle very badly. And then after that, I could not play badminton for 2.5 years, and I felt like shit. And then it came to a point where, I was like, enough is enough. I'm going to play. I'm going to lose weight. And then I also was listening to Joe Rogan a lot, and Joe Rogan was also a good, source of information and I think inspiration. And then my brother, I would say my brother is my biggest inspiration. He has always been my guide and my biggest inspiration in my life. So my brother also said, he also started losing weight, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it with him. And so Adnan Sami nahi tha yaar. Okay, so Abrahamic atheists then should be considered then, because Dharmic atheists can still get in because as a Cārvāka. I think even Abrahamic atheists should be in. यार ठीक है, वो तुम्हारे रिलीजन को क्रिटिसाइज करते, तुमको मारते थोड़ी ना यार. इतना तो दया रखो, इतनी दया नहीं खो देनी चाहिए. Okay, Kushal bhai, why do most Muslims label what we perceive as good Muslims as kafirs? And your opinion on Irfan Habib heckling Arif Muhammad Khan? I don't know what's wrong with that historian or whatever he is now, Irfan Habib, and what we perceive as good Muslims as kafirs. Well, that's the way Islam is structured. But I think we should support the good Muslims who are the kafirs as per the hardcore version of Islam. We need to support the other side. We need to make sure Islam gets diluted and moderated so much that what is considered a bad Muslim as per pure Islam is actually the right Muslim and the right Islam and the good Muslim. Ajinkya, it's a real tragedy that our BSF on Bangla border is absolutely pathetic. I heard in your Kanchanda podcast and heard it from Assamese friends too. Don't know why the government isn't taking. Oh, yaar, limited state capacity, poor country. और सैलरियां देखो उनकी, वो क्या करेंगे, वो पैसे खाएंगे, अंदर लेते रहेंगे. ये लो, इनको ये भी नहीं पता. कुशल भाई, मस्जिदों के लाउड स्पीकर बंद कराने के लिए लॉ कब बने? ओ भाई, द कोर्ट हैज ऑलरेडी गिवन अ रूलिंग. इट इज ऑलरेडी इलीगल. वो फिर भी करते हैं तो क्या कर लोगे? यही तो मेरा पॉइंट है. और तुम लोग एनआरसी की बात कर रहे हो, और एक मस्जिद की बांगे नहीं बंद कर पाती इंडियन स्टेट, और तुम लाओगे लॉ एनआरसी. वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूं, एनआरसी को लाना ही नहीं चाहिए. व्हाई कांट आई पे थ्रू रुपे कार्ड? यार मेरे को नहीं पता, ये तो आप यूट्यूब को पूछो. Okay, I need to take this. I think UCC is primarily anti-Hindu because it generalizes all Indians as following one culture. Moreover, Muslim laws will be unnecessarily imposed on other religions. Oh, Baba. Oh, Chacha. Nahi. Marriage laws ek ho jayenge. It doesn't mean your rituals will be affected. All UCC does is that it removes the misogynistic, unequal laws cutting across all religions. Hindu law currently is fine. Whatever we have, the Special Marriage Act is also fine. It will not be anti-Hindu. ये एक particular section है, वो जो राहुल ईश्वर ग्रुप है, जो इसको anti-Hindu बोल रहा है. I'm sorry, it is not anti-Hindu. Pooja, thanks for the super chat. I'm assuming, Pooja, this is your question. Shouldn't the government have first strengthened the borders with proper fencing and deployment of BSF before bringing in CAA? The northeast borders are still open and people are literally walking across the farms. Pooja, this is now I'll use the word which will trigger you guys off. It's a third world country. What else were you expecting? We have a long way to go as a society. Unfortunately, whenever I say this, लोगों को मिर्चें लग जाती हैं. मगर क्या करें? Should Nirmala Sitharaman continue as FM or should Dr. Swami be brought in now? Yeah, this is beyond my paycheck. I don't understand economics. पक्का कुछ ना कुछ स्कैम होगा इतने कार्ड्स के पीछे. वही है, इंडिया में पैसे कमाने के लिए लोग ये करते हैं. Do you think BJP rushed through all this? Not even 1 year has passed. No, boss, you're forgetting. In the first term, all of you were criticizing the BJP. क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो, क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो? अब सेकंड टर्म में धड़ 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 कर रहे हो, तो जल्दी क्यों कर रहे हो? अरे ऐसे थोड़ा ना होता है यार भाई, ये गलत बात है. सही कर रही है बीजेपी. एनआरसी मत लाओ, मगर सीएए तो पूरा लाना चाहिए. Also, I would include LGBT members too in CAA. But again, I am not aware of any test which can confirm if someone is gay. This is very hard. Even I had thought about it, that LGBT members could be included. But their LGBT member can also claim that they're Hindu, na? So what's the big deal? We could have always added atheist. LGBT can become Hindu, whatever. So you might be LGBT and Christian. You can get in. The only problem is if you're Muslim and LGBT. That is a problem. I agree with you. And we should think about that. What's your opinion about Pakistani Muslims who have grown through 70 years of hatred of religious violence against minorities? I don't know. I don't have any opinion. I would still like to believe that underneath them, they still have their humanity intact. I'm not saying all of them have, but yeah, many of them might still have it intact. And instead of doing an NRC, should we make passport compulsory? Actually, I thought of that because if you guys remember, passport जब मिलता है, तो अपने में वो system होता है police verification का. So we can have a police verification system, right? The police will do your verification. They'll ask from the neighbors. They'll do their whole shebang. And then the passport is generated. I don't know why we needed this thing. Listen to J. Sai Deepak's talk on why UCC is a shit show. I don't agree with Sai. I've actually heard it. That's one of the things that I disagree with him. What do you think about POK? Should our army capture POK? And what about the Punjabi majority in POK and Gilgit-Baltistan? But POK is already our land. They have illegally occupied it. We should just claim our land and send the people back. Kiki, Kushal, you are responsible for my Joe Rogan addiction. Why am I, man? Well, I'm glad you listened to Joe Rogan. He's a very sensible guy. Taking a step back and looking at what happened in 7 months in Modi 2.0 just blows my mind. I think Modi 2.0 has been very good civilizationally. Economically also, they are improving things, in my opinion. Do you think Modi's Kal Se Jal scheme going to work? I think, yeah, the water scheme is going to work because I've already worked on the water scheme in the 2 villages I worked on. So, yeah, it's going to work. This is a very good question. What's your take on Junaid Hafiz, who has been given death sentence in Pakistan for blasphemy? Bring him to India. It doesn't need CAA or CAB. Just like the Slima was gotten in India, Junaid Hafiz should be gotten to India. That's my view. Will Ola Uber work on CAB? I have no comment, Jemin. I will answer that on the phone to you. What are my thoughts on lawyers like Jai Sai Deepak? Brilliant guy. I think a breath of fresh air. One of the rare people I love listening to in the non-left. Otherwise, most of them are post in my language. He's just out of this world. He's a brilliant, articulate fellow. I just love listening to Sai. He's a great guy and who I consider now a friend. We might have disagreements here or there, but I think he's a friend and an ally. Amazing guy. Did you watch the video of Shoaib Malik? Oh, yaar, meko nahi malu. Are you talking about Shoaib Malik, the Pakistan cricketer? I don't know. Danish Canaria, what is your opinion in this matter? I'm not surprised there is anti-Hindu bigotry. I'm not surprised. Another reason we should have a citizenship amendment bill without the cutoff of 2014. Kushal bhai, your opinion on police reforms, betterment of judicial system, also your opinion on the glorification of mediocrity in the BJP except for PM and Home Minister. Well, I've been very clear that we need to put our priorities in order. We need more market economics, more cops, more judges in this country. The problem with this country is why there are thugs and goons in this country is because the state is non-existent in multiple areas. And that's why we have parallel courts doing parallel justice in this country. We need to fix our shit, man. पुष्पेंद्र कुलश्रेष्ठ को लाओ कभी पॉडकास्ट पे. उनको ले आऊंगा. Oh, I think you got it wrong. Shoaib Malik, the Pakistan cricketer, breaking the TV bit ne tha. Shahid Afridi ne bola tha. Hindu ritual karte dekha. I think he's an idiot. What do I do, man? These are idiots. I mean, it's ridiculous. The kind of anti-Hindu bigotry that is there in their minds is ridiculous. If I think anti-Muslim bigotry is ridiculous, I have to say anti-Hindu bigotry is ridiculous too. And I know it exists in that society. Okay, I think I've pretty much covered all questions. So if you guys have any other questions, now is the time. Go for it now. And otherwise, we've already reached the 1 hour mark. If you have any super chats, go for it now. That's what I would say. Anyway, so I'll also like to talk about what's happening on Patreon. So as you know, Patreon has been going very well. So just to let you guys know about what's happening up at Patreon. So we've actually completed one whole book on the Patreon group, which is Rigveda Historical Analysis, chapter by chapter. We went through it in detail. and we discussed all of them. Obviously, you guys who are not on Patreon can't access this, but if you're on Patreon, you can access all those videos. Right now, we're discussing Rigveda and the Avesta, the final evidence. I think we've covered up to chapter 4, and in the next year, we're going to be starting with chapter 5 and 6. That's the next session. I think in the next month or so, we'll be done with 2 books. So this is the vision for Patreon as of now. In Patreon, what I'm planning is we're going to at least discuss 5, 6 books, 7 books in detail on the Aryan invasion, Aryan migration, both pro-Aryan invasion and anti-Aryan invasion, both sides. So that at least that group that discusses this book with me and the patrons later on who sign up to Patreon and can access that content will be so well versed with that subject that if you're with someone who wants to have a discussion, you can kick their ass, literally. You can kick their ass in that subject. So what I'm doing through Patreon is I'm going to collect one subject, discuss the books in it, make people so well versed in that you can't beat them in that. So that's the target. So if you want to subscribe on Patreon, the address is on the screen. It's www.patreon.com/Cārvāka. And I literally start with $1. I've purposely kept it at $1. I did not want to create those tier systems. I don't care. Start with $1. If you feel the content is worth more, you can pay more, but I don't care. I've just kept the cutoff at $1. That's my idea. But I am having so much fun at Patreon. We are having a lot of good discussions there. So that's my take. Okay, now let me look at a few. Let me take a few. Okay. Kushal bhai, when are you and Shambhav coming back? Oh यार, like I said, वो मेरी गलती हो गई. Last week ही करने वाले थे, मगर फिर मेरा dinner का plan बन गया. So I apologize to Sham. We'll be doing podcast regularly, Sham and I. This is a good comment. I feel BJP desperately needs a good PR agency. I agree. ट्रम्प चाचा का इम्पीचमेंट का क्या होगा, सेनेट में पास होगा कि नहीं होगा, वो कुछ नहीं होने वाला, वो भी ड्रामा है. What do you think of liberals' argument that if you are not giving citizenship to Muslims who are not secular in their own country, you are threatening Indian secularism? और पागल हैं ये लोग यार, गधे हैं, कुछ भी बोलते रहते हैं. मुसलमान को थोड़ी ना बोला हुआ है. अगेन उनको बोलो ना कि 6 साल में ऑलमोस्ट 600 मुसलमानों को इन्हीं देशों से हमने सिटीजनशिप दी है, CAB के द्वारा नहीं, दूसरे रास्ते के द्वारा. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? What do you have to say about the growing divide between Hindu and Muslim point of view on the CAB and NRC? We need to reach out to more people. We need to explain them to them. That's the only way out. Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. Bang my head on the wall. That's my reply. Let's see. I did not get your comment. I'm thinking that is why your channel is not growing faster. I have no idea what you're saying, man. Himanshu, how can I subscribe to Patreon? Simple, man. You see the link on the screen. Just go there and subscribe. Op India पर क्यों नहीं आ रहे कुशल भाई? यार ऐसा है कि there are too many podcasts. I can't do it with Sham. I can't do it on Op India. I can't do it here. मेरा full-time business है. So we just decided, we're going to do the discussion on Sham show once, or maybe once in 10 days or a week, and then I'll stick to my podcast and he sticks to his, because it was just getting too much. I can't do so much work. I have to go to work, I have to read for my Patreon channel, and I have to do podcasts. It's just getting too much for me. Okay. Is it okay for Cārvākas to eat beef? यार जिसको जो खाना, it is okay for Hindus also to eat beef. जिसको खाना खाए यार, नहीं खाना ना खाओ. इलीगल काम मत करो जब तक इंडिया में इलीगल है. बाकी जिसकी जो मर्जी. What do I do to earn a living? I have a textile manufacturing business. All right, guys, I think it's an hour and 3 minutes now. I think it's time to wrap things up. I would like to end this monologue by thanking all of you. And I genuinely mean this, that, I never prepare for my monologues. I just say things on the top of my head, but you guys stick through it, and you guys have been very supportive of the channel. As you know, I refuse to outrage. I never outrage. I discuss things when they die down, when then when the shit has not hit the roof and kind of things have settled down. And still, the podcast has been growing, albeit slowly. It's okay. I'm not worried about it. But I genuinely mean this. I want to thank all of you for supporting the podcast, supporting me via Patreon, supporting me via the super chats over here. And even if you guys don't support me monetarily, I want to thank all of you just by viewing, sharing the podcast. It's amazing. You guys have been a source of inspiration for me. I want to do this more and more continuously, talk about issues, talk about subjects. And I want to take this opportunity to wish all of you a very happy Gregorian New Year, because party hard if you like partying. If you don't like partying, you can stay at home, chill. If you drink, please don't drive. Be responsible. Don't be a pain in the ass for anybody and everybody. And on that note, I would like to say namaste. Take care. I'll see you next year now. Bye.